Hello, welcome to American Preparatory Academy's Read the Constitution event. I'm Carolyn Charette, the Director of American Prep, and today is Constitution Day. We are so excited to be able to share in the reading of the Constitution with our students and our staff, our families, and our guests. An important focus at American Prep is to prepare our students to become effective and engaged citizens. And studying our nation's founding documents is an important part of that preparation. We will begin this event with a pledge and national anthem. Following the national anthem, our students will present our American ideals. Then, Senator Mike Lee will present an introduction to the Constitution, and we will begin our reading. I would like to express thanks to all of our readers today, our students, our staff members, and our guests. And I would also like to express thanks to all of our students and our staff in classrooms who will be reading along in their Constitution books, and to our families who we also hope are reading along with us. We feel so grateful to be able to have the freedom to hold an event such as this, and we hope that you will enjoy reading the Constitution today with us.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remember and uphold the ideals of our country: liberty, equality, democracy, respect for the rule of law, and patriotism, which means gratitude and respect.
As an American, it is my duty
to remember that we have these ideals due to the heroes who lived and died for them, and heroes today who still defend these ideals with their lives.
As an American, it is my duty
to treat others with dignity and respect.
As an American, it is my duty
to be willing to listen courteously and with an open mind to others who hold different positions than mine, because increased understanding strengthens our democratic republic.
patriots who sacrificed to establish these ideals amidst great opposition.
As an American, it is my duty
to show respect to the servicemen and women and public servants who uphold these ideals today.
We support these ideals in word and action and express our patriotism so that our free nation might be preserved for our children and grandchildren.
Hi, I'm Senator Mike Lee. I wanted to talk to you for a minute about why the Constitution is important to me and why it should be important to all of us. The Constitution contains a series of rules designed to tell you what the government can do and what it can't do, designed to tell you how the government has to act and through which body within government it may act. These are important things because government is best understood as the official collective use of coercive force. Anytime you use force to make someone do something, there have to be rules around that use of force. And so that's why it's so important that we have rules about government. The Constitution tells us where power may be exercised, by whom, and where its limits should be found. Among other things, the Constitution separates out power so that no one person and no one group of people in this country can accumulate too much power. This is specifically because of the fact that during our history, during our pre-revolution colonial period, we as Americans were subjected to harsh treatment by a large, distant, all-powerful national government based in London. It knew no limits around its authority, and we understood that people govern themselves better when they're allowed, for the most part, wherever possible, to govern themselves locally. We also understood that, especially at a national level, a legislative body ought to have certain limits placed around it. This is why one of my very favorite provisions in the Constitution is the very first clause of the very first section of the very first article. Article 1, Section 1, Clause 1, also known as the Legislative Powers Clause, provides that all legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and a House of Representatives. Subsequent provisions within Article 1 then go on to identify the few and defined powers that may exist through our national legislature, Congress, and that all other powers are reserved to the states and to the localities. This is important because it demonstrates that the Founding Fathers understood something, which is that it is the legislative branch within our system of government that has the power to be most dangerous. It has the greatest potential to do evil because it has the power to set policy affecting the rights of individuals. As a result of this, the Founding Fathers entrusted this power to be exercised only by that branch of government that is most accountable to the people at the most regular intervals. You have the opportunity to dismiss your lawmaker every 2 years in the case of U.S. representatives and every 6 years in the case of U.S. senators. This is very meaningful. It means that you have the chance to have an impact on your government, and your government can't establish policy governing the use of officially sanctioned collective use of force against you without your opportunity to have a say in that. That's why it's important to me, and I think it ought to be important to all of us. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy a very happy Constitution Day.
Thank you for joining us today to celebrate National Constitution Day. In the summer of 1787, the Constitutional Convention was held at Independence Hall in Pennsylvania and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. 39 members attending the convention signed the Constitution before returning home to their own states to present it to their constituents. The United States Constitution was officially ratified by 9 states on September 17, 1787. We represent students at the American Preparatory Salem campus. We invite you, our fellow students, neighbors, and friends, to join us today as we read the United States Constitution on National Constitution Day. Please open your pocket constitutions to page 31, where the preamble begins.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessing of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish the Constitution for the United States of America. All legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and House of Representatives. Section 2. The House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year by the people of the several states. And the electors in each state shall have the qualification requisite for electors of the most numerous branch of the state legislature. No person shall be a representative who shall not have attained to the age of 25 years and been 7 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of the state in which he shall be chosen.
Representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this union, according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to a service for a term of years, and excluding Indians not taxed, 3/5 of all other persons. The actual enumeration shall be made within 3 years after the first meeting of Congress of the United States, within every subsequent term of 10 years, in such manner as they shall by law direct. The number of representatives shall not exceed 1 for every 30,000, but each state shall have at least 1 representative, and until such enumeration shall be made, the state of New Hampshire shall be entitled to choose 3, Massachusetts 8, Rhode Island and Providence Plantations 1, Connecticut 5, New York 6, New Jersey 4, Pennsylvania 8, Delaware 1, Maryland 6, Virginia 10, North Carolina 5, South Carolina 5, and Georgia 3. When vacancies happen in the representation from any state, the executive authority thereof shall issue writs of election to fill such vacancies. The House of Representatives shall choose their speaker, and other officers shall have the sole power of impeachment.
Section 3. The Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state, chosen by the legislature thereof for 6 years, and each senator shall have 1 vote. Immediately after they shall be assembled in consequence of the first election, they shall be divided as equally as may into 3 classes. The seats of the senators of the first class shall be vacated at the expiration of the second year, of the second class at the expiration of the 4th year, and the third class at the expiration of the 6th year, so that 1/3 may be chosen every year. And if vacancies happen by resignation or otherwise during the recess of the legislature of any state, the executive thereof may make temporary appointments until the next meeting of the legislature, which shall then fill such vacancies.
No person shall be a senator who shall not have attained to the age of 30 years and been 9 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state for which he shall be chosen. The Vice President of the United States shall be President of the Senate, but shall have no vote unless they be equally divided. The Senate shall choose their other officers, and also a President pro tempore, in the absence of the Vice President, or when he shall exercise the office of President of the United States. The Senate shall have the sole power to try all impeachments when sitting for that purpose. They shall be an oath of
or affirmation. When the President of the United States is tried, the Chief Justice shall preside, and no person shall be convicted without the concurrence of 2/3 of the members present. Judgment in cases of impeachment shall not extend further than to removal from office and disqualification to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust, or profit under the United States, but the party convicted shall nevertheless be liable and subject to indictment, trial, judgment, and punishment according to law.
Time, places, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislator thereof, but the Congress may at any time by law make or alter such except the place of choosing senators. The Congress shall assemble at least once in every year, and such meeting shall be on the first Monday in December, unless they shall by law appoint a different day.
Each House shall be the judge of the elections, returns, and qualifications of its own members, and a majority of each shall constitute a quorum to do business. The smaller number may adjourn from day to day, and may be authorized to compel the attendance of absent members in such manner and under such penalties as each House may provide. Each House may determine the rules of its proceedings, punish its members for disorderly behavior, and with the concurrence of 2/3 expel a member.
Each House shall keep a journal of its proceedings, and from time to time publish the same, excepting such parts as may in their judgment require secrecy. And the yeas and nays of the members of either House on any question shall, at the desire of 1/5 of those present, be entered on the journal. Neither House, during the session of Congress, shall, without the consent of the other, adjourn for more than 3 days, nor to any other place than that in which the two Houses shall be sitting. The senators and representatives shall receive a compensation for their services, to be ascertained by law and paid out of the Treasury of the United States. They shall in all cases, except treason, felony, and breach of the peace, be privileged from arrest during their attendance at the session of the representative houses and in going to and returning from the same, and for any speech or debate in either house they shall not be questioned in any other place. No senator or representative shall, during the time which he was elected, be appointed to any civil office under the authority of the United States, which shall have been created, or the emoluments whereof shall have been increased during such time, and no person holding any office under the United States shall be a member of either house during his continuance time in office.
All bills for raising revenue shall originate in the House of Representatives, but the Senate may propose or concur with amendments as on other bills. Every bill which shall have passed the House of Representatives and the Senate shall, before it become a law, be presented to the President of the United States. If he approve, he shall sign it, but if not, he shall return it, with his objections to the House in which it shall have signed, who shall enter the objections at large on the journal and proceed to reconsider it. If after such reconsideration 2/3 of that House shall agree to pass the bill, it shall be sent, together with the objections, to the other House, by which it shall likewise be reconsidered, and if approved by 2/3 of that House, it shall become a law. But in all such cases, the votes of both Houses shall be determined by yeas and nays, and the names of the persons voting for and against the bill shall be entered on the journal of each House respectively.
If any bill shall not be returned by the President within 10 days, Sunday is excepted. After it shall have been presented to him, the same shall be a law in like manner as if he had signed it, unless the Congress by their adjournment prevent its return, in which case it shall not be a law. Every order, resolution, or vote to which the concurrence of the Senate and House of the Representatives may be necessary except on a question of adjournment shall be presented to the President of the United States, and before the same shall take effect shall be approved by him, or being disapproved by him shall be passed by 2/3 of the Senate and House of the Representatives according to the rules and limitations prescribed in case of a bill.
Section 8. The Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. But all duties, imposts, and excises shall be uniform throughout the United States. To borrow money on the credit of the United States. To regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states and with the Indian tribes. To establish a uniform rule on naturalization and uniform laws on the subject of bankruptcy throughout the United States. To coin money, regulate the value thereof and of forging coin, and fix the standard of weights and measures. To provide for the punishment of counterfeiting the securities and current coin of the United States. To establish post offices and post roads.
To promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing for limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries, to constitute tribunals inferior to the Supreme Court, to define and punish piracies and felonies committed on the high seas and officers against the law of nations, to declare war, grant letters of marque and reprisal, and make rules concerning captures on land and water, to raise and support armies, but not appropriation of money to that use shall be for longer term than 2 years, to provide and maintain a navy. To make rules for government and regulation of the land and naval forces, to provide for calling forth the militia, to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurgencies and repel invasions, to provide for organizing army, disciplining the militia, and governing such part of them as may be employed in service of the United States, reserving to the states respectively and the appointment of the officers and authority of training the militia according to the discipline prescribed by the Congress.
To exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district not exceeding 10 miles square, as may, by cession of particular states and the acceptance of Congress, become the seat of the government of the United States, and to exercise like authority over all places purchased by the consent of the legislature of the state in which the same shall be, for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings, and to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers, and all other powers vested by this Constitution in the government of the United States, or in any department or officer thereof.
The migration or importation of such person as any of the states now existing shall think proper to admit shall not be prohibited by the Congress prior to the year 1808, but a tax or duty may be imposed on such importation not exceeding $10 for each person. The privilege of writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless when in cases of rebellion or invasion the public safety may require it. No bill of attainder or ex post facto law shall be passed. No capitation or other direct tax shall be laid, unless in proportion to the census or enumeration errand before directed to be taken. No tax or duty shall be laid on articles exported from any state.
No preferences shall be given by any regulation of commerce or revenue to the ports of one state over those of another, nor shall vessels bound to or from one state be obliged to enter, clear, or pay duties in another. No money shall be drawn from the treasury but in consequence of appropriations made by law, and a regular statement and account of receipts and expenditures of all public money shall be published from time to time. No title of nobility shall be granted by the United States, and no person holding any office of profit or trust under them shall, without consent of Congress, accept of any present emolument, office, or title of any kind whatever from any king, prince, or foreign state.
Section 10. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver, coin a tender in payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law or law impairing of obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. No state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any impost or duties on imports or exports, except what may be absolutely necessary for executing its inspection laws, and the net produce of all duties and imposts laid by any state on imports or exports shall be for the use of the Treasury of the United States, and all such laws shall be subject to the revision and control of the Congress. No state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops or ships of war in time of peace, enter into any agreement or compact with another state or with a foreign power, or engage unless actually invaded or in such imminent danger as will not admit of delay.
Article 2, Section 1. The executive power shall be vested in a President of the United States of America. He shall hold his office during the term of 4 years, and, together with the Vice President, chosen for the same term, be elected as follows. Each state shall appoint in such a manner as the legislature therefore may direct a number of electors, equal to the whole number of senators and representatives, to which the state may be entitled in the Congress. But no senator or representative or person holding an office of trust or profit under the United States shall be appointed an elector. The electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for 2 persons, of whom one at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves. And they shall make a list of all the persons voted for, and of the number of votes for each, which list they shall sign and certify, and transmit sealed to the seat of the government of the United States, directed to the President of the Senate.
The President of the Senate shall, in the presence of the Senate and the House of Representatives, open all the certificates, and the votes shall then be counted. The person having the greatest number of votes shall be the President. If such number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed, and if there be more than one who have such majority and have an equal number of votes, then the House of Representatives shall immediately choose by ballot one of them for President. And if no person having a majority, then from the 5 highest on the list, the said House shall be in like manner choose the President. But in choosing the President, the vote shall be taken by states. The representation from each state have 1 vote. A quorum for this purpose shall consist of a member or members from 2/3 of the states, and a majority of all the states shall be necessary to a choice. In every case, after the choice of the President, the person having the greatest number of votes of the electors shall be the Vice President. But if there should remain 2 or more who have equal votes, the Senate shall choose from them by ballot the Vice President.
The Congress may determine the time of choosing the electors and the day on which they shall give their votes, which day shall be the same throughout the United States. No person except a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of this Constitution shall be eligible to the office of President. Neither shall any person be eligible to that office who shall not have attained to the age of 35 years. And in 14 years with a resident within the United States. In case of a removal of the President from office or of his death, resignation, or inability to discharge the powers and duties of the said office, the same shall devolve on the Vice President, and the Congress may by law provide for the case of removal, death, resignation, or inability. Both of the President and Vice President declaring what officer shall then act as President, and such officer shall act accordingly until the disability be removed or a President shall be elected. The President shall, at stated times, receive for his services a compensation which shall neither be increased nor diminished during the period for which he shall have been elected, and he shall not receive within that period any other emolument from the United States or any of them. Before he enter on the execution of his office, he shall take the following oath or affirmation. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States, and will to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
The President shall be Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy of the United States, and of the militia of the several states when called into actual service of the United States. He may require the opinion, in writing, of the principal officer of each of the executive departments upon any subject relating to the duties of their respective offices. He shall have power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment. He shall have power by and with and advice and consent of the Senate to make treaties, provided 2/3 of the senators present concur. He shall nominate, and by and with the advice and consent of the Senate shall appoint ambassadors, other public ministers and consuls, judges of the Supreme Court, and all other officers of the United States whose appointments are not herein otherwise provided for, and which shall be established by law. But the Congress may, by law, vest the appointment of such inferior officers as they think proper, in the President alone, in the courts of law, or in the heads of departments. The President shall have power to fill up all vacancies that may happen during the recess of the Senate by granting commissions which shall expire at the end of their next session.
Section 3. He shall, from time to time, give to the Congress information of the state of the Union, and recommend to the consideration such measures as he shall judge necessary and expedient. He may, on extraordinary occasions, convene both houses or either of them, and in case of disagreement between them, with respect to the time of adjournment, he may adjourn them to such time as he shall think proper. He shall receive ambassadors and other public ministers. He shall take care that the laws be faithfully executed, and shall commission all the officers of the United States. Section 4. The President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors.
Article 3, Section 1. The judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court, and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. The judges both of the Supreme and inferior courts shall hold their offices during good behavior, and shall at stated times receive for their services a compensation which shall not be diminished during their continuance in office.
The judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties made or which shall be made under their authority, to all cases affecting ambassadors and other public ministers and consuls, to all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction, to controversies to which the United States shall be a party, to controversies between two or more states, between a state and citizens of another state, between citizens of different states, between citizens of the same state claiming lands under grants of different states, and between a state or the citizens thereof and foreign states, citizens, or subjects.
In all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls, and those in which a state shall be a party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction. In all other cases before mentioned, the Supreme Court shall have appellate jurisdiction, both as to law and fact, with such exceptions and under such regulations as the Congress shall make. The trial of all crimes, except in cases of impeachment, shall be by jury, and such trial shall be held in the state where the said crimes shall have been committed. But when not committed within any state, the trial shall be at such place or places as the Congress may by law have directed.
Section 3. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them, or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. No person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of 2 witnesses to the same overt act, or on the confession in open court. The Congress shall have power to declare the punishment of treason, but no attainder of treason shall work corruption
of blood or forfeiture, except during the life of a person detained.
Article 4, Section 1, full faith and credit shall be given in each state to the public acts, records, and judicial proceedings of every other state, and that Congress may be general laws to prescribe the manner in which such acts, records, proceedings shall be provided, and the effects thereof. Section 2, the citizens of each state shall be entitled to all the privileges and immunities of citizens in the several states.
A person charged in any state with treason, felony, or other crime, who shall flee from justice and be found in another state, shall, on demand of the executive authority of the state from which he fled, be delivered up to be removed to the state having jurisdiction of the crime. No person held to service or labor in one state under the laws thereof, escaping into another, shall, in consequence of any law or regulation therein, be discharged from such service or labor, but shall be delivered up on claim of the party to whom such service or labor may be due.
Section 3. New states may be admitted by the Congress into this Union, but no new state shall be formed or erected within the jurisdiction of any other state, nor any state be formed by the junction of two or more states, or parts of states, without the consent of the legislature of the states concerned as well as of the Congress. The Congress shall have power to dispose of and make all needful rules and regulations respecting the territory or other property belonging to the United States, and nothing in this Constitution should be so constructed as to prejudice any claims of the United States or of any particular state.
Section 4. The United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government, and shall protect each of them against invasion, and on application of the legislature or of the executive, when the legislature cannot be convened, against domestic violence.
Article 5. The Congress, whenever 2/3 of both houses shall deem it necessary, shall propose amendments to this Constitution, or on the application of the legislators of 2/3 of the several states shall call a convention for proposing amendments, which in either case shall be valid to all intents and purposes as part of this Constitution, when ratified by the legislators of 3/4 of the several states, or by conventions in 3/4 thereof, as the one or the other mode of ratification may be proposed by the Congress.
Provided that no amendment which may be made prior to the year 1808 shall in any manner affect the first and fourth clauses in the 9th section of the first article, and that no state without its consent shall be deprived of its equal suffrage in the Senate. Article 6. All debts contracted and engagements entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be as valid against the United States under this Constitution as under the Confederation. This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of the state to the contrary notwithstanding. The senators and representatives before mentioned, and the members of the several state legislatures, and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution, but no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States.
The ratification of the conventions of 9 states shall be sufficient for the establishment of this Constitution between the states so ratifying the same. Done in convention by the unanimous consent of the states present, the 17th day of September, the year of our Lord 1787,
and of the independence of the United States of America of the 12th. In witness whereof we have hereunto subscribed our names. George Washington, President and Deputy from Virginia, 39 delegates representing 12 states signed the Constitution.
The first 10 amendments of the Constitution, known as the Bill of Rights, were ratified effective December 15, 1791. They are as follows.
Amendment 1. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, and to petition the government, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances.
Amendment 2. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Amendment 3. No soldier shall in time of peace be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law.
Amendment 4. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized.
No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in case arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia when in actual service in time of war or public danger, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation.
Amendment 6. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and the cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense.
In suits at common law where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of the common law. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted.
Amendment 9. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people.
Amendment 10. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people.
Thank you for joining American Preparatory Academy Salem campus for our live reading of the United States Constitution and Bill of Rights on Constitution Day.